Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to episode 2, yes, of season 9 of the SSF Romcast. I am, as always, the lovely Jessica Haynes, joined by my companion Joey, and also the lovely
Emma. I was a bit insulted then. You like, who's Jerry? Who's Jerry?
Jerry's my,
Who's this
if you know, you
bustling
know,
in?
Jerry's my flamingo.
Oh, it's very cool.
He is
Um,
awesome.
yes. So we're on second episode of 6 Degrees of Separation. What did we talk about last week? It was all the rage we've ever lived.
It was, and this week we're on
Yes.
our own.
Yeah, this is it. We've split off. We're starting our individual journeys
We're going
to
on a tangent.
get back to our final episode and the final book we've agreed upon together.
hmm
We
hmm
did tell you last week, if you caught that episode, what our books would be.
We did indeed, and our
Yeah.
linkages.
Yes, yes. So what was yours again, Jess?
Mine is Czar by Alana Khan.
Okay. And mine is Primetime Romance by Kate Robb.
Excellent.
So I guess, should we do our cocktails? Shall we say what they are? Have you been splitting yours down? Because I do like the mixes and the different bits for different points, or do you just say what your cocktail
Just
is?
is winging it. Yeah. Okay. So no. So my book, I really struggled to find one that worked with this book because I
Okay.
think, as I mentioned last week, there were some things that I think are triggering to a chunk of people. So it's a really good
Okay.
book, but some people it might be a bit what's it. So trying to find a cocktail that worked was interesting. So I did what we normally do is I just kind of picked one and went, nah, it's our podcast. I'm doing this because it kind of works.
Okay.
So
We say that a lot these days,
yeah, we
people.
really do. But
Just so you
they,
know.
they do work. It's just where
Yes.
the brain goes. Everything is subjective. This is where my brain
Mhm.
went.
Yes.
So yes, we
Okay.
can do that, and then you can kind of
Okay.
go, "What in God's name is your book about?"
Okay. All right then. Yes. So are you going to do your
I can
cocktail
do.
or yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll have to turn my page. Let's turn the page. So I picked a cider hot toddy.
Oh,
Because
nice.
it's just nice, yes.
Yeah.
Um, because there's a hell of a lot of plotting in my book, and yeah, I was sort of looking at drinks, and weirdly, Guy Fawkes kept coming up, and I was like, you know what,
Okay.
Guy Fawkes, Halloween, hot toddy, job done.
All right.
And
Fair
then yeah,
enough.
my
Yeah, it's got the
characters. So
vibe.
it has. So you've got the cider and the rum, which are my two characters, because they're kind of a similar ilk with what they've
Okay.
gone through and how they're having to live with what's going on in the situation. And then you
Hmm.
throw the cinnamon in for a little bit of spice.
You love
So
your cinnamon, don't you?
yes, indeed, I could bathe in it. So yes,
Okay, I think that would
but
hurt,
that's
but
that's a
okay.
that's an after dark podcast for those who
Yes.
wish that sort of thing.
Yeah, we've got plenty of material for that one if we ever go there.
Last us forever. What about yours?
Yes. So I decided to look up something that had Malibu in it because
Hey.
Malibu to me is like that was like my gateway into drinking.
hmm
So the nostalgia is big in this book. This book is all
Excellent.
about that. So I've gone for a Malibu Summer Rose. So I'm going to treat my main bit of the plot points is all like the fruit juices, like all of the mix of the flavors. And then I've got it has Malibu, which is going to count for the nostalgia, and it also has peach snaps, which is also nostalgic,
Indeed.
but has another reason why I've used that for one of my split out things, which I'll get
Okay.
to
We'll chat about that
when I'm
later.
explaining. Yeah.
Mm.
So, do you want to start with your plotty bits of
We can do. We can do.
yeah?
Okie dokie.
Okay.
So
We got to do it at some point,
we got
Jess.
to do
This
one
is
of us, haven't
both of
we?
us are like, oh,
No, you
you
do
go
it. No,
first. No,
you do
you
it.
go
You do it.
first.
All right. Yeah, the mouth will talk. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, before I start, go and check your triggers, same as
Hmm.
everything. Yeah, your mental health week everywhere at the minute. So yeah, definitely look after yourselves. Go and have a look before I jump into this. So we have Anya, who is, again, she's abducted. We didn't use this. I use gladiators for this, but she
Hmm.
has been abducted by aliens. And as with most of them, she wakes up with all of these things. I think they call them boar people because they've got massive tusks and they look
Okay.
pig-esque, which is
Hmm.
interesting. And she wakes up, gun in her face, in a line with like 10 other women, all in their PJs. So they've all been kind of taken at night, no idea
Hmm.
what's going on. And they're shown, they're given collars as soon as they're all kind of brought about. And they're shown this really educational video of what happens if you mess with the boar men by basically these collars making somebody's head shake until it explodes. So yeah,
Ouch.
it's not a good wake up call. I need to have a word with my kids that when I give them a gentle nudge in the morning,
Yeah.
things could always be
It
worse.
could be a lot worse. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, so they're kind of given these collars, not really anything mentioned, and then just walked down this dark corridor into what they describe as like a 50s type movie jail cell, which I thought was a
Okay.
fantastic visual for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, like these brick walls and this big metal cage at the front.
Yeah.
And as they're led past all of these cells, they've got all different men in them, all
Hmm.
alien men,
Mm.
and sort of one is shunted this way, one is shunted this way. And as they walk past, all of them are told to kind of kneel on the floor, hands on the head, and they get the women in until we stop at Anya's cell. And these bored dudes are like, are we going to get her in? So I don't know. Think we need to shock him. Yeah, probably for the
Oh
best.
my God.
And
Yeah.
she's like, Jesus Christ. And then you just hear this like ugh, thump on the floor. And she looks in, and there's this giant, massive dude covered in fluff, massive flicky tail, lying passed out on the floor. She says, oh, cool, 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 start of a 10. So gets in the room and he's like opposite him. And she's like, okay, well, this is my life now. She's like, if he's knocked out, I'm going to see if I can get just a smidgy bit of a look as to what the flipping hell I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
Kind of goes over. He's furry, tail, big old mane. I think it kind of explains a bit later lion-esque features, but you can't see
Mm.
that just now. So she goes to give him a prod and he grabs her.
Oh
Oh yeah.
God.
He's like, do not touch me.
Hmm.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, fair play.
So yeah, so
Just like
other
a cat.
side,
Don't touch
yeah,
me.
basically, don't touch me until I say. Other sides of the cell until a little voice comes over the tannoy saying, breeding commences now. It's like, okay. So yeah, between them, he's kind of like, "All right, get on the bed, hands and knees, sort yourself out. We're going to make
Hmm.
this as easy as we can." And that is what they are there for. So the
Okay.
women are brought to breed, and the men are gladiators who are being trained up to be fighting and or sold off. So
Right.
that is, yeah, your triggers. Have a look at it,
Yes,
please.
yes, yes. Hmm.
So yeah, basically every morning everybody is called up to be bred. And yeah, that is the day to day of it. And then after that, the men are sent off to fight. The women are taken to a doctor to see where they are medically, if they are with child or not, because they need them to be with child because they will get triple the price on the market, especially because they're all
Okay.
human women, awesome commodities, two for
Mm.
one if they are with child. Gladiator children, not doing too bad. Also breedable in the future. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that's what we're there with.
Hmm.
And so our gladiator is Tsar. And he has basically, you'd kind of think he's kind of there and he's getting some good bits and pieces out of it. He's not. He is
Mm.
also a prisoner. As soon as we kind of start getting into his POV, they are in exactly the same boat. He
Mm.
was kind of born and bred and raised within this facility, and he has kind of had to go through this motion forever with these creatures. It
God.
started off when he was younger that they used to bring in other boys and they
Mm.
would all fight each other. And he's kind of he was all right with it until he kind of hit a certain age and they brought in somebody of his race. He'd never seen them before.
Oh, right.
And him and this lad got this really lovely little friendship going. This kid was stolen from his family. He kind of knew others of their race. He had loving parents, and then there was the day that they went, okay, now you're old enough, you're going to kill each other. Your strongest will survive.
Blimey.
So, yeah, that's where his journey started with all this. So,
Yeah.
him and his mate both knew that Tsar was the stronger of the two. And yeah, he ended up killing this lad. And that was it. From there on, he's just everything is shut down. He's very clinical with everyone and anyone
Mm.
until Anya. So, they are both there together, not knowing what's going on, getting on with this breeding. And yeah, it's a really kind of tricky read for the first few little bits until
Okay.
you kind of get into their heads a little bit, and then
Mm.
she learns what he's gone through, and he kind of learns that she's not there to be anything. She's not just a vessel. He kind of learns to open up a little bit.
Yeah.
But there is a little voice that kind of comes into Anya's head at one point of this little creature called Tyree, who
Okay.
she's the captain's pet. So basically everybody on the ship is either a human or a gladiator, other than like four crew members and
Mm.
Tyree. Now she is this little being who everybody kind of just sees as a tiny little entity, but she is small and mighty. She has
Yeah.
like telepathic powers, so that's why she's there. She helps ease the stress of the captain,
Okay.
driving around all these gladiators and having everybody happily basically rape each other. So yeah,
Hmm.
he needs some of these stresses removed from his mind.
Yeah.
But Tyree is like, well, because I'm small, everybody ignores me. Nobody listens to me. So I thought I'd speak into your head because you've listened. And
Yeah.
over the course of the book, they kind of get this little plot going in. So Anya's talking to Tyree and going, okay, well, where can you go? She's like, oh, everywhere. And then she'll speak to Zara and be like, well, do you speak to the gladiators when you're out there? And he's like, well, a little bit. We're kind of at that stage now. We're just training to be sold, but we don't really.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I've got a woman in the cell next to me. Maybe I can speak to her and see what she knows with her gladiator friend.
Hmm.
And all the plotting starts.
Yeah.
And then she starts speaking to the doctor a bit more because the first time she met him, she was like, well, you're obviously an arsehole. Why are you here and doing this
Yeah.
to these women and giving them all, you know, full exams of the downstairs, dude? Come on. And he's like,
Mm.
well, I was kind of sold into this in a different way. I signed a contract to come on board and help out this way, and actually,
Yeah.
I'm not. So every single person, other than like these Boer people and the captain, are all there under duress.
Right.
And then everybody starts to work together. So I think there's like a shadow dude in one cell who just, he's kind of good with certain things, and they all
So it's
start,
like a heist in some
yeah.
ways where
So
they're like
they
getting
all
together
start,
the
yeah, learning. So there's one dude who speaks to somebody and he's like, I can pilot a ship. I was like, you can pilot the ship. She goes, yeah. Okay. Then Tyree goes, well, I can shut the captain's brain down for a little bit and kind of persuade him to maybe do this and this and this.
yeah.
And then all the cogs start turning, and it's yeah, the captors become no, the captives become the captors, and it
Oh,
just
yeah.
it's very, very good.
Hmm. You have to start with somewhere dark for like to get a level of satisfaction when you like turn
Yeah,
the
when you
tables.
yeah, you claw your way back out. So
Yeah.
it's very, very well done from both sides. And you kind of
Mm.
go in when you first read it and Zari's just so do this, get there, sorted. And it's
Yeah.
a bit like, oh, Jesus. But then you can kind of stop and go, actually, it makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
And yet you
Yes.
feel for them both so much that it's just, and for every single one of them, and they've all just shoved into these situations. And yeah, so well done. Loved it.
And you can kind of see like sometimes you're like, oh, but, where's the sense in that? There's all these people there and they're like strong and like why don't they try? But it's done in such a way, isn't it? That divide and conquer way. And then like to have someone that you always have to have that catalyst person that like draws them
Yeah,
all
that
in and
does the,
gets them realizing we got
yeah,
we've
it
got a lot more
has to be
power
done.
here than, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, this is it. I thought it was just really well set up that the first thing they show them is somebody's head popping with these collars.
Yeah.
And it is just the flick of a button that
Hmm.
one dude holds that
Yeah.
that's
You
it,
can't
done.
discount that. Yeah.
No, no, that is it. That is the all-encompassing thing, this big collar around your neck. But then
Yeah.
Tyree, this tiny, she is a being, and there are going to obviously be lots of other books. But every time Anya kind of catches a glimpse of her and they chat like face to face, she's changing and she's like, "Are you okay? You're looking really unwell." She's like,
Oh
"Yeah,
God.
I'm fine." But she's going through her own changes, so you can see
Okay.
the plot progression for other people kind of coming about.
Mm.
But yeah, she is the catalyst to go, I could get him to turn these collars off maybe. And it kind of, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they need. And then it's the perfect setting. And then you've got one of them who's like, we should do it now. The guards are all distracted. And he's like, no, we can't do it now. If we do it now, everything is buggered. And yeah,
Yeah.
there's a hair trigger. It's like, well, if is he gonna jump too soon? Because if he does, we're
Yeah.
all buggered. And
Hmm.
yeah, just so many little bits in there. And yeah, throw in like there's 20 different personalities in theory that you've got to be able to work with as well.
Mm.
So cool.
Very cool.
There we go.
Yes. Mine is very, very, very different.
Yes, yes, I can imagine.
So, yes. So yeah, primetime romance is contemporary, but like with a speculative spin.
Okay.
Um, so you've got Bryn, it's her 30th birthday. She is she's not recently divorced, but recent enough. She's still reeling from it, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And this divorce also meant she lost most of her friends because they were still in couples and, they were friends with her husband and they've just not included her, kind of thing. So she's starting to try to date. That's not going well. The old dating app horror that must be out there.
I don't even
Um,
want to think.
So they've called it a night early on this date on her birthday. And she's like, okay. She's got this group who are like, they do brunches sometimes. And they've like hit her up and said, oh, do you want to come out? But it turns out they're kind of using her because her roommate is a bartender at this club that they want to go to. So she's like, oh, all right, I'll go along with it anyway. And she takes them there. But she dressed up. Her heels are killing her because she wasn't intended to be out for this long. And it's full of people trying to grind against her that she's just not interested in. She loses her phone and her everything. But Josh, who is her roommate, he's working that night and they don't really know each other very well because he's a bartender. He works nights. She has a day job. They just cross their ships passing in the night kind of
Yeah,
thing. He's attractive, obviously.
obviously.
But yeah, so when she like says to him, I've got, can I take the keys? I need to get home because my bag's gone missing and all this. He's like, I'll leave early and I'll take you home. And he ends up like carrying her because her feet are hurting and stuff. But like
Um,
fireman's carry.
oh,
It's like over the shoulder. But she's cool with it. It's fine. And they get home and what she's been dying to do all day is just get home, get in her slobbies, and watch like her favorite TV show on Netflix. Well, I assume Netflix. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe they couldn't mention whether it was
yeah,
Netflix
yeah.
or not. Um, and for a change, he says, "Oh, well, it's quite early. Do you mind if I come and sit with you? Show me what this show is, because I know you've been watching it constantly. What's the
Mm.
big deal with this show?" And so she explains to him, what was it called? Carson's Cove, I think it is. So she explains, it was the show that was on when she was a teenager, and it's just a comfort because even though there's lots of drama and teen angst and banter, nothing nothing majorly terrible happens. You
No.
always know things are going to pretty much work out in this show. It's like in the cute New England like type thing.
Yeah, yeah. And
I mean,
Pacey is the best we know.
we will get to that. Absolutely. We will get to it's blatantly,
Yeah,
Carson's
yeah,
Cove. We know Dawson's
yeah, yeah.
Creek. This is
Yes.
not hidden. This is part
No,
of
no,
the
no.
cell. Okay.
I heard
Um,
your laugh when you said it. I'm like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
You know what's happening. But this show also got cancelled before I think they were planning to do another season. It got cancelled. So the big like will they won't they between the two main characters who were best friends who would have everyone thought would get together never happened. It's Sloane and Spencer were the two main characters. It didn't happen. It got cancelled before they could do that. And just before they're about to go to bed, There's like a knock on the door. This is really weird. There's a delivery man with like a cake. It's like Bake-A-Wish cake. And he notices they've been watching Carson's Cove and they have a little chat about how it ended too soon and blah, blah, blah. And then they turn around and he's disappeared. And she's like, "Oh, I'm just going to put the cakes aside. I don't know who sent that to me." And Josh is like, "No, no, you've got to at least make a wish on the cake. It's your birthday." He didn't realize it was her birthday. He's like, "It's your birthday. Come on."
Eat the
So
cake.
she does. She makes a wish about along the lines of finally getting the happily ever after that should have always happened because that's how she feels about her marriage. You know, she thought that was it. It kind of came left field for her. She thought it was all sorted and then it was just not. Now her life is not how she expected it to be as she turns 30. She goes to bed. Josh goes to bed. When she wakes up, she is on a sun lounger, dressed in clothes that are not hers. She has keys
Nice.
in her pockets for a place. This looks weirdly familiar, but how the hell did she get here? What's happened? Has she been abducted? Is she still dreaming? We don't know. She's running around. She finds the keys for this Mini. She's driving around the town and she's like, God, hang on, this is looking really familiar. What's going on here? And she sees like they're putting up these signs for this like Lobster Fest pageant. And she's like, oh, okay. That this is the show.
Yeah.
This is it. And as she's doing that, she accidentally knocks into someone, and it happens to be Josh, who has also woken up in this place. She gets out, and they're like, What the hell are we gonna do? What's going on? We can't be dreaming at the same time. This is happening to both of us." She's like, "Right, we'll go to this diner that must be here and we'll try and figure this out." And when they get in there, the delivery guy is there behind the counter. And I don't know how. This is why it's like speculative. It's not we don't know. But what he's decided is she's the perfect person to get the happily ever after for the show that was wanted. So
Okay.
I think they did this in Gilmore Girls. They came back, didn't they, and did like a
Couldn't tell
10
you.
years later or
Oh,
something
yes,
type of
yes,
show.
yes. My eldest
Yeah,
has
yeah,
told me how that bit works, but
yeah. So it's kind of a crossover with that. It's not just Dawson's Creek. It's also like a crossover
it's
with a
also Gilmore
few
Girls.
other, yeah, few other sort of familiar type shows. And this guy, Sheldon, he's like, he was this extra and it was all a big thing because he used to turn up doing like lots of different parts in the background. Um, but he's like scared. He's kind of sinister, you know. He's brought them in. Everybody's there. He's like, and I'm in control of whether you can go back or not. So you have to live this out and make it happen the way I want it to, which is kind of like my link in terms of the Truman Show-esque thing and the
Hmm.
performance and like having to
Yeah, the
get there.
puppeteer.
Yeah. And then he disappears again. Um, and they try and like talk to like the people that are there who are the characters, and they've got very vague recollections of what's happened in the past. They know when it is, they know what's going on, they know who they are, but not what's happened for the last like 15 years. Um, Josh has also been given a role. He's been given a role of Fletcher, who's like a the black sheep of the town, which is blatantly we know that's the Pacey character.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
we're like rubbing the hands together.
Yes,
Yes.
of course we are.
Okay. Um, they do try again to try and get out. There's like a bridge. It's kind of one of those towns that's like on a bit of a, you know, like an island or something, you know, like
Yeah,
I
we
don't
can
know.
picture all
We
of the
can picture it.
we
Yeah,
can
it's
picture the American soaps and things we've watched as children.
exactly. But whenever they try to get across this bridge, they just end up back. So they are stuck. And
It's like
they,
Groundhog Day as well.
yeah, this is it. So they're like, okay, well, we've just, I guess we're going to have to try and do this thing that he wants us to do. Um, and for Bryn, that's a little bit like she does kind of want to at the same time. There's that allure there of okay, well, I can live out this dream fantasy life get the happy ending here that I should have got like on the TV show, but also in real life too. So, and she sees Spencer like this guy who's older. He was obviously the heartthrob of the thing. So she's gonna try and like yeah, woo him. Get the
Yes.
get the romance happening. But all the while she's, Josh is still there and they're having the banter, and all of the hijinks and all of the stuff that you love about a rom-com or in one of these shows. So, yes, starts to progress, basically.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I will explain more in my other sections about different bits about why this worked for me in particular.
Hmm.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, I was going to say it's kind of my friend loved Dawson's Creek, and I think she
Hmm.
still goes back now and watches it
Yes.
in her 40s.
This
So
is
bless
it.
her. She's
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it's
holds a special place for people, doesn't it? And
hmm
Joshua Jackson has aged so well.
he has. He's just got better and better, hasn't he?
He really has.
Yes. Yeah, I'll go into more of that as
Oh, I
well.
was going to,
There's
well, no,
definitely
no, do you want to just keep going and then we'll back
I
down?
can do. I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
go on to my nostalgia bit, like so the
Uh-huh.
Malibu Rum. So just to make it very, very obvious, the dedication for this book is to Joshua Jackson and whoever knit him that damn sweater. So it's like we know,
Oh,
and I only realized when I was doing the notes for that, it was like, oh, and the main character is actually called Josh too, so that's
yeah,
quite
so
on the
it's,
nose.
yes.
But I don't connect things like that. I'm so like I don't I just get into the story on its own. I don't really pick up on little things like
Yeah, the
that
little
until it's
hidden bits
too
and
late.
pieces.
Yeah. But yeah, this book just really hit that nostalgia thing so well. I don't yeah, I'd had this is the really weird thing. I'd had an idea that was extremely similar and I'd pitched it to like agent at the time
Yeah,
and
someone.
editor and stuff. They weren't interested. And then I saw this come out and I was like, "Oh, okay. So, oh, that's a shame. You get
Yeah.
that little like, oh, someone else had that idea." But eventually the desire to have that kind of escapism into the Dawson's Creek world, which I adored when I was a kid. I loved it and like, yeah, teen. Um, and I had to pick it up, and it was so lovely because it kind of actually made me think, oh, do you know what? It's all right if sometimes you don't get the chance to write things and someone else has, because
Yeah, because they can do it.
they can do it and maybe they bring something else to it that you never would have as well. And you get
No.
to, like you sometimes think to yourself, I wish I could read that book again. Or sometimes when you're a writer, it's you overanalyze stuff and or you're just like writing a book, you love the ideas, but by the end you're sick of it. But if it's
Yes.
somebody else that's done it and
Yeah,
they've
you can
hit
just sit and love it.
exactly, you can just sink into it. And maybe
Mm,
that was what I actually wanted to do, and that's what I got to do with
this
this
is
book.
it. Yes. Well, I was going to
Um,
say it's one of those things that you could look at it from a going to the nostalgia and looking back as a
yeah.
child and thinking, oh, I love this, and the ladder by the window for him and
Yeah, yeah.
Joey, and I
Hmm.
love that. I'm thinking of this and that. But then it's like Dirty Dancing. As I'm an adult, I look back at it now and go, why
Yes.
in God's name are you leaving a ladder next to an open window in your teenager's
Yes.
bedroom?
But that's because everything's safe in this world,
Oh, yes,
and I think
in
that's the
this
appeal
world.
of it, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes,
in the fictional world that's been created.
yes.
And I think that's part subconsciously of what you enjoy about it, maybe.
That you don't have to worry about real life sinking
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
that's it. And like the the other thing with which was really nice about the nostalgia and like talking about Pacey Witter, and everyone thinks he's like the original book boyfriend kind of
Hmm.
thing, isn't he? He does all of the stuff that basically happens in romance novels with the book boyfriends that people absolutely adore. It's like he's the blueprint for it.
Yes.
And that is nice that it was there for that. But then like in this new version it's been written, and you have Josh, and he's like hitting very similar things, but he's still very much his own character. But you still enjoy it, and that's still, I mean, it's sad that we're still idolizing that because maybe the bar's quite low, but maybe that should have moved on a little bit.
Maybe.
But you can see like the influence. How many romance writers out there? Pacey
Ah,
Witter was like,
went
"Oh,
through these, yeah.
that's what we want," and then that's what they have
That's what I'm
created
gonna
going
write.
forwards. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
continually.
This is it. How many are you going to look at and go, okay, these people are all around my age? And it's like, well, that's an angel. That's definitely a Pacey. That's a Spike.
Exactly.
Tick
Yeah,
that
yeah.
box.
Yeah, she's got in it Josh. So Josh has his own storyline. It's dual POV, and he's working as a bartender. His dad used to run a bar back in like his hometown, and his dad died, and Josh took on the bar and tried to continue it, but it was COVID and it didn't work out and it failed. And he's kind of, like feeling like he's a failure from that perspective. The bar is up again for sale. It's like an auction. That date's coming up, and he wants to get back, and he's debating whether or not to try again. And in Carson's Cove, this role he's got as Fletcher, he like lives with his aunt who runs a bar which is called the Bronze, and I think it's based on the bar in Buffy.
Buffy, yeah.
Yeah. So there's stuff for other people. Buffy was not my thing, but there's stuff for other people there too. And that's like a whole nice storyline that's
Yeah.
developing for him as well. Um, yeah. So I'll go on to the peach snaps after you've done
What
all
was
of
that?
your
Well, I was
bits.
going to say, yeah, so this was it. Mine's not going to be loads because it was really tricky to pick anything
Yeah. Hmm.
with what's happening in there. And it was just the fact that you have these two characters, or you have all of the characters, and every single one is from a different background, a different race, different situations,
Mm.
and they're all thrust into this same situation, and it's how they have to try and live and deal with it. So Czar shut everything down. He just became this living statue. He didn't, he's been there forever, yet he knows hardly anything about any of these other
Yeah.
gladiators other than I fight this one because we're
Hmm.
about the same size. I don't fight this one because he uses this and not these weapons. Whereas Anya's come in, thrust into the same situation, and she comes out fighting. That's it. She's
Yeah.
not gonna let this thing happen no matter what the consequences might end up being. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of looking at the perfectly similar situations with very
Yeah.
different places to come
Hmm.
from and where they're going to end up. So yeah, that was kind of why I just picked the two different types of alcohol and kind of had to go for the plots, because once the plot
I
starts kicking
see.
in,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was kind of all very, very, yeah, it was all very, very nicely interlinked with things.
Yeah, that's very interesting seeing how characters will take the same set of circumstances and end up in completely different
Yeah,
places.
this is it. So we don't speak to many of the other side characters, but yeah, there's one girl who's very, very meek, and she's kind of, I think, with this robotic dude, and you wouldn't think the two would work.
Yeah.
But then
Hmm.
when they go to speak to them, this dude steps up and stands in front of the woman. So then you've kind of got like the juxtaposition of the two characters in this book going the other way.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, everybody's kind of, all the boxes are ticked for each person. It's
Yeah.
like, me, it's a series. I'm then there
I
like,
was
okay,
gonna
book number
say,
two, book number two, book number two. And I
is it not
can't book
out
number
yet?
two. I
Oh,
think it is, but podcast. I can't
podcast,
read all of the
podcast
books.
books. No.
Yeah, so my TBR is now, it is past Tom Hiddleston levels. I'm kind of at, I don't even
Yeah.
know who, giraffe. I'm hitting giraffe levels
Okay.
with my
Yeah,
books.
giraffe levels.
Yeah, I'm halfway up the neck. I'm near the
Yeah.
face. But
Maybe
yeah,
we need to do something like that for another season, is just pick a series.
to
Like we
go
talked
through.
in the past about like doing, like Psy Changeling or something like that, because it is a different couple and a different
Yes, every
thing,
time.
and just do like a run of those, and because of the developments that happen in
Oh,
the world and the plot too,
yeah.
it
Well,
does
yeah,
move
this is
along.
it. When you talk about the side, you've got all of the ones coming from the silent side, and then all
Yeah,
of the shifters coming from chaos, feral, awesomeness side.
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, how do they all go their own little ways?
this is it.
Especially
Yeah.
coming from such trauma that they've got at the bottom.
Hmm.
And how do you, I'm talking about the more unpleasant side of it. How do you go from this forced breeding to
Mm.
actually it grows to actual
Yeah.
affection? And that is done very, very well. And
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
how do
yeah.
you, yeah, then the affectionate sex is kept away from the breeding sex for a bit. And then
Mm-hmm.
then that becomes part and
Oh,
parcel of
interesting.
it. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, I see. Yeah, if anyone would like a season like that, come and tell us.
yeah, that would be,
Yeah,
that,
that'd be cool.
I think, who am I emailing? Because I can't. If anybody wants to let Jessica read a series of books in order so
Yeah.
she can talk about
And
them
make me read a
and make Emma
series of
do
books.
it.
Like, yeah, I mean, I've already done it for this one, but it was only a duology, so
That's not two. Two is not counting.
two doesn't
That's
count. I
no.
can't remember the last time I read a series, but no, I tell a lie. It was probably Alona Andrews when I was doing the Burn for Me ones because,
Mm.
but again, it's only 3 books, so it's like quite neat. But I did do the first trilogy and then the second trilogy, so I did 6 books. Pretty that I did. That was like heart killer reading
Oh,
slump afterwards,
really?
though.
Mm.
Does that not happen to you when you've
It
read like
depends.
a
Yeah,
bunch of
if I've
books?
got another thing lined up, then I'm usually okay.
Mm,
This is it. As we said, sometimes it's kind of just finding that right one, and then you can
yeah.
step away and go to a different thing. So,
Hmm.
yeah. But yeah, I suppose there is the hangover once you've hit the last book and you know there's no more
Mm,
coming. Then there's tears and
yeah.
awful, awful
This is
moments.
it.
Then you find a new
Um,
book.
yes. So my final bit was the peach snaps,
Tell us about the Archers.
which is, yes, it is Archers, and that is hindsight. So Malibu, like the nostalgia, still quite enjoy about Malibu now.
Mm.
Peach snaps, wouldn't touch it because
Can
it
you
tastes of regret.
not?
You know, that that is, I had too much Archers. Very, yeah, very,
Mm.
very bad.
We've all got one, I think. Orange Bacardi breezers for me.
Yeah, this is it. It's that
Hmm.
sickly sweet thing that you used to drink.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's why it kind of goes with the last thing, which is about hindsight. And what also is done really, really well in this book, I think, is the fact that you have all of this lovely nostalgia, which I think millennials are particularly prone to at the moment. We are realizing we are hard in our nostalgia phases. Um, but we are older. So, like you were saying, you look back upon stuff and you're like with Dirty Dancing and that, and you
Yes.
think,
Do
I
not
have
let
a
your
slightly
children.
different opinion
Yeah.
of
My
this now.
child
I
is not
am,
dancing with this sexy man with the sexy no shirt
yes,
on.
this is it.
I agree with Mr. Houtman.
Yes, he was,
100%.
yeah, baby's dad was wronged.
She
So,
will stay in that corner.
yes, she will. And
Thank
she'll
you.
fucking be glad about it too.
Yes.
One day she will realize.
Brutal honesty. She's probably on her phone anyway. She don't care. She's on TikTok.
Yeah, this is it. And yeah, that's something that's handled really, really well because it's part of Bryn's journey is this thing of, letting go of an idealized version of what you wanted from your life, being okay with failure. But also in terms of the show, because she's trying to have this relationship she's trying to do the dates with Spencer and stuff. And he's not he went off narratively to LA and he's come back and he is as tedious as you think he might be in terms
Oh,
of
bless him.
the fitness stuff and it's just not working. The chemistry is not there and it's like,
Mm.
oh, am I still trying to force this thing? And obviously there's this overarching thing of she has to if she wants to get away. And that's done really well. Like considering it's such a cozy type of vibe, there is this sort of threat there. There's a few things that happen that make it like, okay, it's, it is serious. This has to be achieved for us to escape, and we want to get out, and we don't want to be here anymore. But one of the ones that I particularly enjoyed was there were these two characters. So Sloane had a best friend. I want to say Poppy. I don't think I think it's along those lines. And there was another girl called Luce, and Luce was like their nemesis. But as the longer Bryn's there, she's seeing that like this loose character who is like a real person she's interacting with, um, was wronged. Like Baby's dad. She was
Yeah, yeah.
wronged and it was like looking through the lens of, oh yeah, I wasn't really seeing this situation correctly. And they develop like a friendship which is really lovely that they, you know, start to get to know each other. And yeah, I think all of that mix just makes it feel like this book is really, it's like got a very niche audience that is going to really hit for.
Yeah.
And I am in that audience.
Yes, so am I.
I don't know if other people, if it works for other people. I think sometimes that's the thing. Sometimes really, really good books are can only resonate with very particular people that have a particular thing they enjoyed and or a particular time in their life, and
Hmm.
it just speaks to them at
Yeah, at
that
that
extreme.
moment.
It's a good book, you might enjoy it, it's a good book on its own, but if you're not in those groups that it's like targeted for, you'll be like, well, what's the big deal about this
Yeah.
book? But
Well,
that,
this is it.
yeah.
If you're younger, I'd imagine it probably, yeah, even
Yeah,
if you
I've
don't
had a look
understand the
at
references,
this is
the
it. I've
actual
had a
things that
look
are
at some
happening
of
are funny.
the reviews, and you know, reviews are always a mixed bag, aren't they? But
Mm.
that was what made me think it. It's like there's a lot of people that just aren't quite getting the kind of poignancy of that, of reaching
Mm.
this time in your life and knowing that although you like the coziness and the familiarity, you can also see that, well, there's rose tinted goggles and I can choose when to put them on and off. And sometimes you just have to get on with life. It's
Hmm.
like this very careful mix of optimism and cynicism at the same time, I
That, yeah,
think,
which comes with age.
which comes with age. And we are hitting that age
We really
very
are.
hard.
This is why I delve into the monsters, because I can happily shut off real life and read about
Yes.
monsters killing other monsters and then moving on
Yes.
to the next stage. Happily,
Yes.
with 10
So
books.
that's where we're
That's where
at
we're
with
finished.
those
And I,
ones.
yes, yes, and I need this thing to tell people about next week.
Yeah. Oh, are
I
you
think,
gonna we're gonna announce next week's book
we
as
can do,
well?
or we could just pick a
Again, I
topic.
need to do a sneaky little look up to make sure I know the author's
Well, we don't
name.
have to. We can leave people in suspense.
Oh, do you want to? So,
I'm either
what
way,
do you
no. We
think?
could do one and not the other. That would be really weird.
That would be weird, wouldn't it? Are you paving the way for that in case you haven't decided by a
No, no,
certain
no.
point?
This one I've got. It's the four I haven't
Yeah,
got.
yeah.
I'm very, very fours still.
Okay, I'm gonna say let's do it because
Mm,
then that will force you to make your decision about book four and take you out of
okay.
this agonizing that
As
I
it,
know
this
you're
loop.
in at the
Yes.
moment because you'll
Oh,
have to know by next week when we record next week's
I
episode.
know, I know. But will I?
Okay,
Okay,
so
well,
what's your book?
I'll let you mooch. Okay, mine is called Monsterland Mayhem because it's me by
Oh,
Lexi
yes.
C. Foss. And
Wow,
my
that
link
sounds
is
fun.
breeding.
Breeding. More breeding. Okay.
More breeding.
Okay. And my one is Deja Brew, which is by Celestine Martin.
Excellent.
And my link is kind of what you hit upon already. It's got a Groundhog Day-esque thing.
Excellent.
There's being trapped by a wish, basically. Again, it
Hmm.
happens, but it's different the way it
It's
comes
different, but
about.
it's a th yeah.
And yeah, it's di exactly. That's what our links are
It's
telling.
different,
This
but
is
it's
how
the
it's
same.
different but the same.
Yes,
Yes.
that's a link, tenuous or otherwise.
Lovely. Okay then. Well, again, sounds like we're probably going quite different
We,
paths.
yes, we
Yeah.
always come round.
Lovely. And thank you for joining
For
us.
joining us. Yes, come back next week and chat about those. Join us on the socials. You know where we are. SSF Romcast in all the places.
And yeah, have a good one.
Until next week. Goodbye.